Photoshop the truth. I will not Photoshop the truth as a means to appease the uncomfortability of truth, truthfully speaking. I will not crop out what others prefer to go unsaid or resize truth for the purposes of fitting your frame. I will not rotate or flip it so that when you first hear it, it feels less offensive. I believe scars are lessons learned, so I won't even fix any blemishes. I won't adjust the contrast to make the message a little bit brighter, and I won't add any special effects so the image looks more like me as opposed to Christ. I see beauty in what you may see as ugly, because Christ somehow saw beauty in me, so I'd much rather shop his photo than Photoshop the truth. But he touched me. Oh, he touched me. And oh, the joy that floods my soul. But then something happened and now I know he touched me. And then he touched me again while he was supposed to be babysitting. Had never left Cali, but now I wasn't even sure what state of mind I was in. What I did know was that I was about 8 going on 9 and I wasn't afforded an opportunity to decline what would be defined as my first sexual encounter. Physical pain was secondary in comparison to how much my mind hurt that I couldn't erase, that we were already at third base and I feared what would be forthcoming. I went from studying my 1, 2, 3s to three-way conversations with birds and bees. My thought process became a huge palette of complexities. Child life was no longer as easy as A, B, C. A, B, C. See, I always believed Christ didn't ever feel God had inadvertently just knowingly left me. Now oppressing penetration, quickened rage, Satan thought ugly variations would execute youthful zeal. But see, I wanted to know why. I was searching for a sign. I said I was searching for a sign. Why was this happening to me? Why was I being awakened out of my sleep to watch cartoons? I was a small child making requests for oral sex, not because I liked it, but because it hurt less. And it sparked a strange curiosity. Every time a sex scene would pop on the TV screen, I would fake sick the next day to stay home and go back and watch what my mom didn't allow me to see. See, every issue begins with a small seed, so be careful what you plant in your spirit. Because even though most feel like watching those graphic videos are for your enjoyment alone, please take note, allowing it forewarn that 87% of child molesters admit to trying to imitate something they saw from watching porn. And then he touched me. And this time it was my own father. All I knew was that I was about 9 going on 10. I was about 9 going on 10. What will make someone want to touch one of their own begot 10? I hyper-extended my brain trying to make some sense of his intentions. All the while teachers were saying, she doesn't focus, she doesn't pay attention. I was going to every extent I knew, but still I was frightened by what cannot be forgotten. I felt used and thrown away to paper cups and plastic utensils at 9 going on 10. He told me to drink this cough syrup. I tried to explain I wasn't sick, but he kept giving me cough syrup, a weak attempt to try to get me high after I said no to Jose Cuervo. And as soon as my little brother went to sleep, he told me to come sit on his lap, kept shifting me in very uncomfortable positions, which I was somewhat familiar with because of the first encounter. My heart was beating out of my chest, and the tears began to roll down my eyes. And that night, I slept at the bottom of the stairs and went home the next day and I smiled like nothing happened. Said I smiled like nothing happened. Why? Because Satan is a deceiver, one who gives a false impression, actually had me to believe it had to be something that I had done. Why else would 2 grown men come after me? So I began to change the way I dressed. I started wearing baggy clothes because I figured it would draw less attention. And every Sunday, and I do mean every single Sunday, I went to church praying that they would see in my eyes, but I didn't have the courage to verbalize. And yeah, they saw all right. A women's meeting was held, and after service, I was brought to the front of the church as an example of what not to wear. They were so out of touch, so unaware, I just wished for one moment someone would look past the fact that I was wearing pants and more towards the reason why I didn't want to wear a dress. I said I wished for one moment someone would look past the fact that I was wearing pants and more towards the reason why I didn't want to wear a dress. I stood there quietly, but on the inside I was screaming. Can anyone see that I am hurting? Or shall we continue this debate on denominations and what the women are wearing to holy convocation? I assumed numbness meant healing. I just had to be delivered. Even though the sight of me, I hated. I took no pride in how I looked because I figured nobody wants somebody that's been molested. That's just nasty on top of complicated. So I took the pain, threw it in the back of my mind, stored it in a safe, and intentionally forgot the combination. Out of sight, out of mind. I mean, they prayed for me with blessed oil, so I had to be delivered, right? Or at least I figured. But years later, it began to resurface, and I started to experience memory triggers. It became obvious I could no longer put a Band-Aid on a wound that needed surgery. God had to be looking down like that's not what I allowed it or who I created her to be. I had created the habit of pretending like things never happened. I thought I could concoct my own healing remedy as long as I was reading, praying, and fasting. But the wound was infected and began to spread to every area of my life, all because I didn't want to sign the consent form to go under God's knife. Didn't want the surgery. I didn't want to face reality. I didn't want to answer him. I wanted him to answer me. What kind of God would allow an innocent child to be molested? Allow me to share with you one of the most beautifulest, ugliest revelations. Same God who sent his own son to die on a cross that most would be ungrateful for, and even more would take lightly, and even more would crucify him again with our actions. And although there was no violence, there was any deceit found in his mouth, it pleased the Lord to bruise him. Come on, that don't make no sense to us. But his ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not our thoughts. The glory of Christ is the resurrection, but you can't just skip the cross. You can't skip the suffering or all the souls he came for that were lost. I said you can't skip the suffering or all the souls he came for that were lost. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You may not see it, but he sees it clear. But some of us are running haphazardly in the dark due to fear. God has amazing plans for us. We got hang-ups. And hung up on trying to figure out why. Hung up on why us and why not some other child. Hung up on why were we the ones that had to deal with it, and hung up on not being able to forgive. But Christ is the ultimate hang-up. He was hung up for you. He was hung up for me. So enough with the hang-ups, because his hang-up reigns supreme. Wow. And so, to every little girl and every little boy who's ever felt defenseless, to every man and every woman who feels like the enemy is beating them senseless, to every swallowed cry in the middle of the night so that no one would hear, to every face buried in pillows to hide the tears, for every throat the enemy tries to choke with asthmatic breaths of air, Christ is the breath of life. Let him be your inhaler. Amen. And I know there's some of you in this room who have experienced it. And you wouldn't hear it from unless it was from somebody else who also went through. And in that case, God allowed me to come and be a testimony to you and let you know that it was worth it. It was worth every ounce of physical, mental, and spiritual pain. And I would go through it again if he would continue to allow me to come all the way from LA here to London to tell you over and over and over again that you have to let God get glory. Because like Paul, I reckon that the sufferings at this present time are just not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us.